Okay, this is going to be a quick video on my experience with getting facial feminization surgery. Sorry if it's kind of glaring in the corner there. It is bright over here. But I wanted to just take a moment to talk about the after effects of FFS and what goes into getting FFS done. So I had facial feminization surgery done in March of 2022. I had it in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm not going to say the exact city because I didn't really have that great of experience, in my opinion. But neither here nor there. But essentially the process for me, I was lucky enough that I worked for an employer that had gender affirming care, and they did cover a majority of the surgery. Now, whether people think those things should be covered or not, I'm not going to get into that. This is not what this video is about. I put in the work. I worked full time. My employer helped pay for it. But essentially that insurance process was so stressful. It was not fun. I am trying to go through that again this time around, and I am not having any luck, and it's super stressful. And, you know, I feel like a lot of these clinics recommend you go through insurance because two reasons. I do think sometimes they want to save you money. Other times, I kind of feel like a lot of these clinics are chop shops essentially for trans women. They definitely, and trans men for that matter, but definitely more on the cosmetic side, right? There's definitely a market for those, for trans women. I would say even a step further than trans men. And I feel like a lot of these clinics try to market themselves as like LGBT friendly when in all reality, they're not. For example, the place where I had my face done, I had an appointment like 2 years later because I've been looking into getting revisions because I have problems with my FFS. And I feel like this is part of the after effect, so I'm maybe not saying this video in order. But after FFS, I will say, like, you should just set the tone that you need a revision. Like, there's no way you're going to come out perfect, and I knew that. But I have some imperfections that when you take a straight-on photo, there's no, like, it's not an opinion, it's fact. One side of my jawline is shaved way harder than the other. You know, there's part of my jaw that's shaved like half an inch further than the other. One of my eyebrows is definitely lifted. Part of my cheeks are bigger. You know, like there's just these little flaws that can definitely be fixed with a revision. And it's still annoying to me that I'm expected to pay 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10K out of pocket just to pay for anesthesia and the facility when I wasn't the one doing the surgery. I didn't make the mistake. So I think for the dolls that are going into FFS, I truly would set the tone that you have to have revisions. Hopefully I will do this revision and I'll be done because honestly, I hate the surgeries now. Like when I was younger, I was like, girl, I want to be, and I want to do all these surgeries. Like I want to be cute. I want to get everything done. But it's not fun when you work full time, and I'm very career driven. I got my degree and I'm hustling to just be able to buy a home and to be able to retire early. Like transitioning, unfortunately, at some point becomes like a second tier of importance. But, you know, like the revisions and the surgeries and like all that time off, it just is not fun to deal with. So I hope I can do this revision and I'm done. Like I'm fine with how I look right now. I have the means to get a revision, but anyways, so that's part of it. And two, like I was saying, is these clinics, I feel like definitely capitalize on the fact that employers do help cover some of it, and they're going to just bill everything they want to insurance. And when I had one of these appointments to talk about a revision, this was like probably a year and a half ago now, the coordinator asked if I was a drag queen or called me a drag queen, something to that context. And when I tell you I was gagged, I was like, there is no way that this clinic that billed my insurance over $100,000. I think it was about that, for my surgical procedures for gender affirming care, and they market themselves as LGBT friendly, just called me a drag queen. Like, do we not take any like gender inclusivity classes? Do we let anyone work here? That alone was enough for me to like never go back to that clinic. Unfortunately, I feel obligated to get my revision through them, because otherwise I will spend quadruple the money elsewhere doing it again. And it's just not practical. But that experience was horrific. The feeling I felt from that was so bad. And matter of fact, I had emailed later, like the following day, and said how that is so uncomfortable. Like, you guys need to be more educated. And she admitted to the whole thing and she apologized, but still, I just was like absolutely so annoyed. And two, part of the insurance process, they were supposed to submit all these things to insurance, and half of the things they didn't submit, so I just didn't get them done because there's no like redo. And now I'm going through them again because they're trying to go through insurance, and they're like, yeah, insurance is just pending and we're working through it and we're trying to do this and we're trying to do that. And I get it. Anytime you go through insurance, you run into like difficulties, and it may take 6 months to a year. But then I call my insurance and they're like, yeah, that clinic is lying. They're not appealing anything. They're not doing anything. Like, we've tried to call them, and then when we call them, they say they haven't done it yet. But when I email them, they say it's pending and I should just wait. Well, I'm not just like a trans woman just waiting to just get surgeries, and that's where my life is. And that's the only thing that matters. I work a real job, and I also want to go on vacation, but I'm not going to book a vacation just to end up, I have to have surgery in this time slot and I lose that money on vacation. Or I'm not going to miss a deadline for my work because I have a 2-week notice. Because both times I've had surgery, my boobs and my face, I had less than a month notice both times. Well, now I work a big girl job and I can't do that. So I've been trying to be proactive this whole time, and like, it is just so annoying. Like, girls, if you can pay out of pocket, just pay out of pocket, because dealing with this, like, you have no control when you go through insurance. And if you have no choice, then you have to do what you have to do. But I would just be prepared that you may deal with ignorant people, coordinators that don't care about you and are just there to book the surgery and get some coin, and you're going off of their schedule. That's just the reality. Like, beggars can't be choosers, and they treat you as such. And I just can't believe that the process is not more streamlined, and that these clinics don't have any type of empathy. And I'm just getting really annoyed with this clinic, in all honesty. And I just feel like I have recommended them to dozens and dozens of trans women. I've done videos on my experience back in the day when I did YouTube that had well over 100,000 views, and I've never even gotten a single thank you from this clinic. And I'm just over it. I'm just completely over it. And in all honesty, I really should just do a whole video breakdown of everything that they have done, what I think is wrong. And it doesn't mean that I hate everything about it or the situation. Like, my results are relatively pretty good, and I love my doctor. But everything else, the insurance process, the coordinators, all of that is horrific. So, I don't know, just another day being a tranny in America, where, you know, you get the surgeries and it's a horrific process throughout the whole time, which completely defeats the purpose. Or you don't get anything done, and then you're hated by society for looking masculine. So it's like, you can't win. You can't win. And that's just the tea. So if you are going to do any surgeries, make sure you're doing it for you, and make sure you are happy and know the after effects of what's the reality. So, but yeah, that's just my experience. Ciao.